Robin Hugh Gibb was born on December 22, 1949, in the Jane Crookall maternity home on the Isle of Man. He arrived just 35 minutes before his fraternal twin Maurice, and the two would go on to become one of the most iconic duos in music history. Raised by loving musical parents, Hugh and Barbara Gibb, the boys were no strangers to change, with their family relocating several times, from the Isle of Man to Manchester, and finally to Redcliffe, Australia. The early years were chaotic, with Robin and Maurice notorious for their pranks and mischievous behavior. Yet, underneath the troublemaking, there was an undeniable creative energy growing in both of them. By the time they were in their early teens, they had discovered the power of harmony, mimicking the sounds of the Everly Brothers and Paul Anka, which would shape the unmistakable sound of the Bee Gees. A musical beginning, the formation of the Gibb brothers. In 1955, Robin and Maurice, along with their older brother Barry, formed a musical group called the Rattlesnakes. They began performing in Manchester halls, showing raw talent and capturing the attention of audiences with their unique style. After a few members left, they reformed as We, Johnny Hayes and the Blue Cats. However, it wasn't until 1958, when the Gibb family moved to Australia, that their musical careers truly began to take off. The brothers quickly adapted to their new environment, and in 1960 made their television debut on the show Strictly for Moderns, performing their song Time is Passing By. Robin's voice stood out even at the tender age of 10, with a tremolo that was both soft and quivering, yet strangely mature. This marked the beginning of their rise to fame. The Gibb brothers' rise to fame. Early hits and growing success. By the mid-1960s, the Bee Gees were on their way to becoming one of the most successful musical acts of the era. The brothers signed with Festival Records, and their early hits quickly earned them recognition. Robin's performance of I Don't Think It's Funny in 1965 showcased his unique vocal ability. His voice, which was no longer that of a child, but of a young man with incredible depth and range, became a defining feature of the Bee Gees' sound. As the group's popularity grew, so did the pressures that came with it. Fame arrived fast, but the Gibb brothers were still just teens, grappling with the intense demands of the industry. As their star power grew, cracks began to form beneath the surface, and the personal and professional challenges started to take their toll. A marriage forged in tragedy, Robin's relationship with Molly Hullis. As the Bee Gees' fame exploded in the late 1960s, Robin's personal life became just as complicated. In 1968, at just 18 years old, he married Molly Hullis, the secretary to their manager, Robert Stigwood. Their bond was not one based solely on romance or glamour, but forged in the fire of shared trauma. The two had been together during the Hither Green rail crash, a horrific train derailment in which nearly 50 people lost their lives. Surviving such a tragedy created a deep connection between them. For a while, it seemed as though Robin had it all: fame, love, and a future that looked promising. However, the relentless demands of fame and touring began to take a toll on their marriage. As Robin spent more time in the United States, Molly remained in the UK, raising their two children, Spencer and Melissa. The physical distance began to erode the foundation of their relationship. The collapse of Robin's first marriage, addiction, and divorce. By the early 1970s, Robin's personal struggles became more evident. His emotional instability, exacerbated by stress and sleeplessness, led him to a pattern of destructive behavior. The pressures of constant touring and recording pushed him into using stimulants, including amphetamines and methadone, which were common in the music industry at the time. Friends recalled that Robin's moods swung unpredictably, from bursts of hyperactivity to crashes of exhaustion and paranoia. This only worsened the distance between him and Molly, and by 1980, after years of living separate lives, the couple divorced. The breakup was bitter and public, with Robin violating a court order by discussing their marriage in interviews, which resulted in a 14-day jail sentence in 1983. This was a humiliating chapter in Robin's life, revealing that his battles were far darker than the public ever knew. A new beginning. Robin's marriage to Dwina Murphy Gibb. After the breakdown of his first marriage, Robin sought solace in a new relationship. In 1985, he married Dwina Murphy Gibb, an artist and writer who shared his creative spirit and spiritual beliefs. Dwina helped bring stability to Robin's turbulent life, and their marriage seemed to provide the balance that he had long sought. They lived between Miami, the Isle of Man, and their historic home in Oxfordshire, the Prebendal. However, their relationship, though outwardly peaceful, carried its own complexities. The couple had an open marriage, an arrangement that the public was unaware of during Robin's lifetime. This open dynamic became a source of rumors, one of which involved Robin's long-term relationship with Claire Yang, a housekeeper in their household. Claire and Robin's affair lasted several years, and in 2008, they had a daughter, Snow. Despite the apparent scandal, Dwina had already accepted the relationship, and her calm acceptance later confirmed what had long been suspected but never publicly acknowledged. The impact of Maurice's death. Family division and grief. The death of Maurice Gibb in 2003 marked the beginning of the deepest fracture in the Gibb brothers' relationship. Maurice, the emotional mediator between Barry and Robin, had always been the glue that held the family together. His sudden passing left an irreplaceable void, and the grief that followed quickly spiraled into conflict. Barry, already devastated by the loss of his twin, became enraged when he believed Maurice's widow, Yvonne, and her family were planning a tribute album to profit from Maurice's death rather than honor him. The public feud between Barry and Yvonne escalated, and Robin found himself caught in the middle. While he wanted to honor his brother's legacy, the conflict between Barry and Yvonne made every step forward painful. Behind this disagreement lay deeper issues of grief, identity, and the right to represent the Bee Gees. Robin's passing, a peaceful end and lasting legacy. Robin Gibb passed away on May 20th, 2012, at the age of 62, surrounded by his family. His death was a devastating loss for the world, but his children remember him with love and admiration. In his final moments, Robin was calm, unafraid, and at peace, holding Dwina's hand as he slipped away. His spirit remained tied to his music, even in the end, a reminder of the passion and creativity that defined his life. In the years following his death, Robin's children began to speak publicly about the private man behind the music, revealing truths that had long been kept hidden. They confirmed the open marriage between Robin and Dwina, the affair with Claire Yang, and the complicated family dynamics that shaped Robin's life. Through their stories, they have helped complete the picture of a man who was as complex as he was talented. The family's final revelations, a man defined by music and love. In the years since Robin's passing, his family has kept his memory alive by sharing the truths that had remained hidden for so long. R.J. Gibb, in particular, has been a key figure in preserving his father's legacy, performing Robin's unpublished works, and ensuring that his creative voice continues to resonate. The revelations about Robin's open marriage, his affair, and the tension within the Bee Gees family have added new layers to the public's understanding of the man behind the music. Yet, beyond the scandals and the personal struggles, Robin Gibb was a man driven by love. Love for his family, for his music, and for life itself. His children's words now complete the story of a man whose brilliance was matched only by the complexity of his life. Robin's music lives on, his legacy forever intertwined with the Bee Gees' iconic harmonies and his unwavering determination to create, even in the face of personal battles.